what I'm always talking about is what is like the biggest branch or like what is the trunk of information that you like can basically grab onto, because that's going to be the thing that's least likely to change and you should focus most of your efforts on because it's least likely to change. And so when you're like thinking about these platforms like ChatGPT and stuff, it's like, okay, like again, like Google search, what are they trying to do? Have a great user experience? ChatGPT, Perplexity, or whoever, right? They're trying to make sure that they're really trying to build that this is like your assistant and that you trust your assistant, right? And they want to deliver the highest quality vetted information. Same with Google search, it's just in a different type of format, right? And so the base of the knowledge is like they want to provide like the end user the best user experience with like the best knowledge that's going to help that user.
Welcome to How I Grew This, where we dive into the world of digital marketing and connect with leaders in the space about how they're scaling, evolving, and growing. Hello, and welcome to How I Grew This. Today, we're joined by Justin Rashidi, co-founder and chief strategy officer at SeedX, where he helps brands unlock high-level strategies and spends a lot of time at the intersection of multiple departments. So really excited to discuss how Justin builds data-driven growth engines, how marketers should be thinking about measurement these days, and tap into his thoughts around acquisition, AI, and more. Welcome, Justin.
Yeah, excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Maybe to kick us off, you can tell us a little bit about what you're up to at SeedX and, how you got started over there.
Oh, how we got started. That's always an interesting story. Actually, okay, so what am I doing at CDEX? Yeah, I guess like yeah, I have a title that I feel like means like whatever. And my like what I'm normally doing every oh, it's a kind of a title that means like nothing. It's like, what does that mean? Like
Nothing and
uh
everything all at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. So uh I really like my role right now because I see, basically like 100 projects from different types of industries, both B2B and consumer. And then I interact with like our account strategists and interact with our directors of our departments. And then like usually I'm either working on a high level strategy for like how we're advancing our departments, or I'm working on like if a client is like really like in some weird situation or a difficult thing, I'm like working on like very difficult problems. And it's really interesting because then I see like, yeah, the intersection of like how SEO is actually like affecting analytics or how paid media is like overflowing. Like if we increase paid media, like what's happening over here, like, and it's actually really interesting to have like a high level view of stuff.
That's it. May kind of answer the question, but like, give us a pitch of SeedX. What does SeedX do?
Well, yeah, so CDEX, it really depends on the type of company that we're working with. So like technically like we're a marketing and data company. Like at a very fundamental level, you could consider us both like a marketing and a data company, right? Usually people are coming to us because they're trying to fulfill like growth goals. Like at a core level, like most people want to grow, right? And so we then like partner with organizations either by providing strategic work, like helping like their internal teams, or we act as their internal teams, like doing like what people would either call like hiring agency or staff augmentation in some capacity. The reason that it differs actually is because we're trying to meet brands like or organizations where they are, right? So like if you have like a SEO team, right, like in house, like we're not trying to take over the SEO team, like we're trying to like augment like to enhance those departments, right? We're not necessarily like leading end to end there. And so like the makeup of like how we're working with every organization like ends up being different based off of the internal structure of like the organization we're working with.
And you and your co-founder were named on Forbes 30 under 30 for marketing and advertising recently. So tell me what
Recently.
you think that means about how growth marketing is changing right now, or what that recognition says to you.
I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. Like
That's
I
honest.
didn't want to win it, but like someone recommended that we do it. And then like my co-founder really wanted to win. And so then we just like we got like referred in and then we won it. And I didn't even think we were gonna win. And so I feel like it's a word that's like it's cool to say, but it doesn't really mean much. Like honestly to people, like it like looks nice, but like I can tell you from like business development, maybe it's like helped me with conversations, maybe, but like it doesn't at the end of the day, it doesn't actually bring in like business. Like what brings in business is like being knowledgeable, being helpful. And so like I always feel weird about it, honestly.
It's a modest and honest review.
Yeah, well, like and then it gets a bad rep sometimes too. So because there's like some weird actors in there, and I'm like, I don't even know if I want to be associated with these weird actors. Like, and I'm like, am I now viewed as a weird actor? And I don't know, just like I
In
would
the
prefer
marketing
not
and
to have the
advertising category.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I prefer not to have it because like I don't even know if it really benefited me that much.
I have a question. It's personally, it's kind of been bothering me a while. And so like when I saw that you guys focus on this, I really wanted to get your take. It's about like modernized customer discovery. So like getting customers to find you, since you're talking to a lot of clients and helping them kind of discover customers with search changing the way it is with LLMs. You guys say you do search and you do GEO or AIO, whatever. I call it AIO. Other people call it
Everyone has a
GEO.
different word. Yeah. Mhm.
Do you care? Do you have a take?
No, I just did a conference, like a presentation at a conference, and I was like, for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to use GEO, but it could be AI SEO, it could be AIO, it could be GEO, like it could be whatever you want to call it, but like optimizing around like search or chat engines or answer engines.
So because you're giving conference talks about this and talking to clients, give us a state of like where we are today and like what should a brand be doing? Because there's so much like fluff out there from a practical standpoint. Where are we and what should a brand or a potential client be doing?
Yeah, so what we're talking about with like our current clients or people who are like talking to us about this like specific service is like I've actually been talking about like it's a fast moving area of like industry, right? And so for me, like what I'm always talking about is like what is like the biggest like branch or like like what is the trunk of information that you like can like basically grab onto because that's going to be the thing that's least likely to change and you should focus most of your efforts on because it's least likely to change. And so when you're like thinking about these platforms like ChatGPT and stuff, it's like, okay, like again, like Google search, what are they trying to have a great user experience? ChatGPT, Perplexity or whoever, right? They're trying to make sure that they're really trying to build that this is like your assistant and that you trust your assistant, right? And they want to deliver like the highest quality vetted information. Same with Google search, it's just in a different type of format, right? And so the base of the knowledge is like they want to provide like the end user the best user experience with like the best knowledge that's going to help that user, right? And so like a lot of what we talk about is like, okay, so what does that mean? And really what that actually means is like, okay, how is like the LLMs like pulling information in, right? That like it's a little different. And now that a lot of it is actually entity management. It's not just like pages on your website, right? So we talk about citations a lot. A citation is like your website, but a citation can now be social media. A citation can now be like different third-party websites reviewing you. It can be review websites. It can be blog websites, right? And if you actually like do like, hey, where are they pulling information from? You'll get their citations, and you'll see it's from tons of different places. And this
It's like a
starts to look a
modern
lot like,
backlink.
yeah, it is backlinking. Like, and backlinks haven't necessarily died, but they've kind of changed that you don't actually have to backlink. Like, you can actually provide a citation where it just says your name and like information about you. So like we talk about like, okay, so the first thing is that you need to make sure that you have like your core messaging actually like pretty clear because what these LLMs doing is like they're providing consensus across like 20 different types of information or like citation places, right? And you want your information to actually align across all those because every time like you have like your name plus like your value proposition, and if it's across like 6 different websites like that, when the user goes to ask, it aligns, right? Because the LLM is just using like a probabilistic distribution of like trying to find like the next word, right? And pulling that out. And so then it says like, okay, like across like these 10 websites, which we trust, it all says the exact same thing. It cites that exact information. What happens is like you have brands now, like they have this website saying this about them, this website saying this about them, right? And that actually creates like dissonance in like the LLM and it'll be less likely to cite you. And it'll also be like, hey, like here's 2 different facts about the website.
I see.
And
So like if
yeah.
I was a shoe company, you're saying, look, focus on what you do best. Don't try to go to runner's world and position yourself as a running shoe and then go to cyclists.com and position yourself as a cycling shoe. Focus on what you do because if you have disparate information spread across all the web, the LLM's not going to be able to synthesize that information. And so it will be either wrong or dismissed.
And you actually even want to have it where like what is your core value proposition against the other brands? Because like what's happening is like so most of the top of the funnel is actually like cannibalized by like it doesn't provide as many citations. So it's like like where like running shoes are weird because people know what running shoes are, but it's like like should I use like shampoo on my dog or something, right? Like that's the top of funnel. You'll start to learn about whether you should use like shampoo on your dog, right? But then you'll like the next question I'll ask is like what is the best shampoo to use on my dog? And that's where it starts to actually provide like company names and citations. And the way that it generally cites is it'll give you like usually 5 to 10, and it'll tell you like this one's for this one's for that, right? This one's the best organic one. This is the best price. This is the most premium. This is the one for poodles, right? And that's the information that you actually want to be able to get the LLM to cite, right? Which is like, are you putting that information in the world that you are the best running shoe for elite athletes, right? Or are you the best running shoe for an everyday user who like is only running 100 miles a year? And that's a little different than like running shoes.
So Doesn't that go directly in the face of traditional SEO strategies? SEO strategy, you want to diversify as much as you can. You want to target the guy that's running the marathon. You want to target the guy that's walking 100 miles a year. And with the same product, you could like basically market to two different individuals. But now with an LLM, that kind of like would screw you up, right?
It's a good question. Yeah, like how do you like have how do you hit different like personas like through an LLM? And yeah, like I do actually think like right now I probably don't have as many like strategies developed because most of the time like the people that we're going after or the brands that we have been working with like we don't have it's like this is the shoe for this. And like it's like for 10 different personas. Like most of the time it's like one or two personas and we're usually like really honing in on like those individual personas or like those top like groups that are really driving all the revenue and like those are the ones that we're focusing on. We haven't necessarily gone to but your brand can rank for multiple products. Like it's just harder to maybe get like your brand to rank for one product with 10 different personas. But
Right.
like
Exactly.
would you
Especially
trust
if
the
they
brand?
conflict with each other. Right.
Yeah, would you trust a brand that like is marketing the same product 10 different personas? It also gets into and that's what I'm saying, like, the customer experience, like, would you or would you not? I don't
No,
know.
no. If you're
Interesting
an
point.
expert and you're running an ultra marathon or something, you're going to know that they're
This is the
not
shoe.
getting the product right, right? And it's the wrong shoe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, so, like, I wouldn't even devise that as a product category, like, a product marketing, like, strategy to, like, try to do that.
So when we think about the changes here in search, what role does that play in like your broad acquisition strategy when you're sitting down with customers for the first time?
Search is still alive, like, or, like, just because, like, LLMs are coming up, like, everything points that, like, search is still, like, on the rise. It's just that search is changing to be more, transactional based versus informational based. And so, like, I think that, like, having and I was just reading the study today, talking about what's called, like, fan out keywords, which is, like, every variation of your keyword, right? Um, to, like, hit on the opposite point of what I was just making. Like, it will, like, cite you more if you actually hit every variation of your keyword. But it does still make it, like, difficult to track it. So, I mean, like, again, like, it's so weird to answer, like, questions around this because, like, this is changing so rapidly. Like, it used to be that Reddit used to, like, try to, like, push Reddit just, like, 12 months ago, and now, like, they de-emphasize Reddit because everyone was gaming it, right?
Oh, really?
And so yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, like,
didn't
it
hear
used to
that
be,
people
like,
were
Reddit
gaming
was
it.
cited. Oh, come on. Yeah, okay, well,
No, no, no.
you're not enough.
This is new to me too.
I know, like,
Oh, yeah,
tell me
yeah,
more.
come on, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, of course, like, you get people I mean, we were doing it, like, of course, like, you get people, like, either, like, with warmed up accounts or people and, like, you're basically getting, people commenting on different Reddit threads, like, providing that social information to into Reddit, and then the LLMs basically pick it up, and, like, whatever you say in Reddit will basically get being picked up by the LLM because, like, it was oversighting Reddit,
Like,
and
So
then
it's
that
like
got
fake
changed.
Amazon reviews. Like
Yeah, it
same
was.
thing.
Yeah, like, and
Yeah.
it was gaming, and that's where, like, I always feel weird about tactics versus, like, strategy because, like, a tactic might not always exist, right? Like, a tactic might work for 12 months, and so then, like, how does it like, SEO is, like, really nice because it's been around forever, like, again, like, it's keywords, it's this optimization, it's about maximizing, like, basically the amount of pages on your website and building authority. And that, like, continues to be true today as it was 5 years ago, right? Some small things have changed, but with, like, LLMs, like, it is fast changing. Like, this tactic, works and now it doesn't work. And in the SEO world, like, there's, like, the Penguin update, these, like, very famous updates where it's, like, people were doing these tactics and then it basically, like, destroyed their websites. And so
So what you're
yeah,
saying,
okay,
to
yeah.
read this back to is as a brand, you need to focus on the fundamentals because the world's changing so fast that understand your ICP, how to market to them. Don't focus on a tactic like bombing Reddit because it's going to be de-emphasized. It'll move faster than you can catch up with it.
It might work for 6 months, but then, like, then all you're gonna lose all the progress once, like, again, these, mega companies basically, like, they're not stupid. They know what's going on. They read what's going on, and they change the algorithms and stuff, right? And so, yeah, consistently, I'm always like I'm a basic person, like, do the basics really well, like, it always works.
so the tactics are going to change throughout of like the latest thing that you're doing, but the key important thing is that you think about the fundamentals from your strategy and make sure that you're hitting on value prop. What are some of the other fundamentals that will
Yeah,
always
like
be true?
managing your entity, having like good like online persona, right? Like being like in multiple locations, I think like are all good strategies. Like I don't think social media is going away. I think social media is like a very valuable like place and that's gonna be like incredibly valuable. Third party verified websites are always going to be valuable, right? Different types of press sites are always going to be valuable. And so like when you think about like what has been around for the last 10 years, like it's that or 20 years or 30 years, right? Like it's probably going to continue to be around to be valuable. And so online entity management is the one that like I talk the most about because that one will continue to be valuable. And then everything that you might do with like, trying to tweak this or this, like it could blow up because I was asked in this conference, like, well, how do you think about purchasing once it gets into chat GPT? Like, are they going to share the data? Like, and I just had another person ask me, do you think they're going to share the data? Like, will chat GPT be like Shopify where they're actually like passing like your customer information back? Or is it going to be like Amazon where it's going to be like walled garden? And I'm like, I don't know, right? Like, I really don't know this answer. And you probably shouldn't be thinking about it too much because you don't know and no one knows, right? Even ChatGPT probably still does not know, right? So it's like it's hard to make a decision and think about that when no one knows.
So focus on the fundamentals. Um,
Yeah,
Changing tactics a bit. Speaking of fundamentals, paid media. So give us a status of paid media today. How are things going on paid media for your clients?
good. Like, I mean, like in general across the board, like the portfolio is like strong. I think everyone has gripes. Like Meta is always every year, like Meta, LinkedIn, etc. They're all more expensive. I think it's really interesting from my perspective. I think that a lot of the ad platforms, which have traditionally been brand marketing, are moving more into performance marketing. So do you know this platform AppLovin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, yeah, of
Big
course.
time.
Like, so yeah, that's a really interesting one. In our area, like again, I was telling you guys before we started that we don't do a ton of mobile app marketing, and they traditionally were only mobile app marketing to start, and now they've actually emerged into like the e-com space. And I think they're going to move into like the B2B space, and that's been like one of the strongest performing channels like we've seen in quite like some time.
Really?
Uh,
I get
pa-
asked about this all the time, and I have yet to come across a single e-commerce customer that's had success with them. You're seeing success.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, we're recommending it, like yeah, yeah, like, I was like, "Oh, yeah, like, you should try it." The thing is, like, it's not as strong as Meta, and it seems to, like, over-index on women, like, actually, like, their customer base seems to be, like, heavily, like, women on the e-com side at least, like, or that's the
Yeah,
one
that's
that is
because
converting.
their inventory is all games, and women gamers
Yeah,
are there's a strong
yeah, I
usage.
read about, like, their audience makeup, and it was super interesting. So, we have a lot of brands where women I mean, but women, it's like they make 80% of the purchasing decisions or
Right.
something in,
They're
like,
the
the
most
economy.
valuable e-commerce sector for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, we market a lot to women, and so it's been valuable. The one that we've had the least success on is actually like in the auto industry. Like we haven't been able to, we've gotten results for them, but like we haven't been able to scale up the ad spend. So that's a really interesting platform. It's interesting. Pinterest has been moving into performance marketing. Snapchat has like been moving into performance marketing. Like and so like it seems like there's more performance marketing channels. YouTube is really good still. Google search. I mean, all the major players are still good. People just complain about the cost, I think.
I was gonna say, how do you help companies spend smarter without spending more?
Normally, like you start with like well, it depends on how much they're spending, right? But normally we'll look at ad accounts and we'll say like, okay, like it's so easy. Like, okay, so Meta, like if we just like went through like the various platforms, like all the creative based platforms, like what creative do you have in there, right? Do you have, and a lot of them you want to be increasing the amount of creative that you have like significantly. Like a lot of people are like launching like 2 ads. I was like, you need to be launching 200 ads, right? Like, because the way that a lot of the auction places work, like when you're doing a creative auction place, is like it takes the value of the creative, right? And so you win more bids when you have more like individual creative pieces that speak to that end auction consumer, right? And so like when we're looking at specific platforms that are in like the paid social or there's a creative aspect, normally the first thing is we're looking at like what is a creative, how much creative, right? And can we actually just increase the amount of creative here and hit like a lot of different angles? And now Adam, back to your point, like this is a platform that's great for actually like hitting tons of use cases and angles. And then yeah, each platform, like usually we start at the platform level and then like to see if there's quick wins. And then if there's not, then like we'll also be looking at like a lot of businesses will come to us where they're like, this is reporting 6, this is reporting 3. We can't report on view-based attribution on CTV or something, right? And then we get back into like having to do like measurement and stuff. So it's a multi-pronged approach, I guess.
Before we get into measurement, is your goal to get it to whittle that 200 down to start to learn which of those creatives are performing best and make changes based on that, or just to have a ton out there at all times, hoping
Yeah,
for
I'm
the
gonna tell you
best?
the answer that, you want a lot of high quality, which is the like, you can't have, like, quantity, that's bad, right? And you can't have just low, like, quality. You literally need to have a ton of high quality, so you should be learning from the ads that are performing, But the thing about the ads that are performing is that could only be hitting a specific audience because advertising has really changed in the digital world because it used to be that you ran a TV, everyone had to see the same ad. Now we're all like consuming content like one to one, right? And so the ads that I see and the ads that you see and the ads that my wife see, like they're all going to be different, right? And even between my wife's two friends, right? Like, okay, this ad might resonate with her and with her friend, it might be like same brand, two different style ads, right? This one is better as like the TikTok style with the comment over it, and this one's as like a premium product like video, right? Like same brand hitting like the right customer with the ad creative that they want to see. And
I just
so
heard that head of Meta business was saying that the mistake he's seeing customers make is they iterate on the successful creative, and all they're doing is trying to like compete for their successful creative on the same audience. What they should be doing is iterating on a completely different creatives to capture completely different audiences, like you said.
yeah, new concepts, like brand new concepts, like do an animation, right? Like with AI, we're doing a bunch of like cool animation ones, right? Like you can now we're like literally making this little animation commercial. I'm like really excited to see how it performs. And there's like all these different things that you can be doing. And yeah, it's not about like all the same. I think the hard part for brands to wrap their mind around is like how do I manage brand image? If I have like tons of different creative. This is probably one of the most common questions I feel like I get brought up, which is like, well, you say make all these ads, but we don't know if these all represent our brand. And then I'm like, I don't know, this is the modern arena, right? The modern arena is that like your brand needs to be able to be represented on every platform in every different way, and you have to figure that out.
There was
And
a paper that
yeah.
was just published that shows that AI is 20% more effective at creating ads than human beings, or human beings even using AI. So, what advice would you give to a brand who's like reading this and saying, "I'd like to embrace it, but I still need to pay attention to my brand"?
I love AI. I guess I would like to see that paper. I saw an opposite one, which was like, I don't know, there was like a True Classic or whatever. It was like, did you see like AI Grandma from True Classic? I don't know.
No, I
No.
Yeah,
don't
okay.
think
Like
either of
True
us saw
Classic
that.
turned on the AI feature and it turned like like their shirt or something on like an AI grandma. And it was just like absolutely ridiculous, like not their target customer. And they're like, this is the state of AI. And this was like maybe just like 3 or 4 months ago. And I'm not there yet, I guess, I'm, like, all on AI yet. Like, I definitely am somewhere, like, AI can increase creative output and allow for new creative that brands, like, previously couldn't get to. Like, we're seeing it now, like, "Oh, I can never have made this." Like, we actually made a similar one, and it cost, like, $100,000 to make, like, this, like, creative like, video before, and now we're gonna
One
do it for,
video?
like,
Oh,
$5,000.
geez.
Yeah,
Yeah,
video
like
gosh, those explainer videos can really rack up a big bill. It's a point that I don't feel like I have heard as often as maybe I should, that AI really is a cost saver in a lot of these cases.
oh, that's like it's for sure coming for cost. Like every day we see AI like coming for cost every single day. So like I believe that. Like I think that it's allowing for teams to make more creative that they previously couldn't. I think that like you don't need as many stock images. I feel bad for like Shutterstock and all these. I feel like they're just wiped off the face of the planet now. Yeah, like I was talking about that. I was like, we never use them. Like they weren't even that great to use and now you can get like this perfect image that like you cannot tell that's AI generated with your product in it and like do all these really cool like things and yeah, like it's I'm a strong believer in AI in that fashion. Like I for sure think that like you should be injecting AI into the creative process. I don't know if I'm full on AI everything all the time 365. Yeah, like let it run.
The other interesting piece that came out of this paper was that as soon as people knew that it was AI, it started to perform worse. So, to your
Uh,
point that, like, sometimes you can see this image where you never know that it's AI, or like when you're thinking about, oh, wow, like it was either a stock image of someone in front of a green screen and like a fake product put in later versus like AI. What's the real difference there? But there is an interesting piece about disclosure and about like once people are aware that it's AI, where they start to lose trust a little bit.
I saw this one like I think the more interesting aspect of AI is like usually like in these new fields like or these like emerging areas like you try to make the art in the same way that you did like in the previous paradigm, right? And so like you see like a lot of people like using AI to do it in the current paradigm. Yeah, yeah. And what's I think going to be more interesting that I think we'll see like more is like how AI actually makes its own paradigm and like you're starting to see like different people like I saw there's a famous basketball player who was just in this like AI commercial. Like he didn't even go on shoot and you could totally tell it was like AI and it was like a really interesting like people really liked it not because they weren't trying to be AI but because they leveraged it in like a very unique way. And that created like a new creative concept. And I think that's probably going to be like the future of like AI production is like a mix of like the old, but like a lot of like, how do we actually like innovate and make something that like people like using this new tool?
That makes sense. So not something that's trying to replicate what the past was, but something that's completely new and completely part of the future.
Yeah, every art like change and like like when we went from like analog cameras to digital cameras, right? Like you had the same thing, and now you see like very unique styles with digital cameras that like you would never think about with analog. But like when you first went from like analog taking pictures, right, and like waiting for it to develop, like those were all the pictures that you first started with digital, and now you have these digital images where it's like multi like colors and changing, and like you have these videos that are going up and down in different like
Well,
positions,
that's
and
and
you
it
would not
changes
think
the
about this
consumer.
originally.
The consumer, like,
Yeah.
so it used to be that you'd be very diligent with your picture. You'd set it up, you'd prepare it, you'd take it, you'd print it, you'd put it in an album and never look at it. Now you take 13 shots without even paying attention to it, goes in an album, you never look
Yeah,
at
just
it.
pick
So it's
one.
like a
Mhm.
completely different use of the same outcome.
Hey, some people are looking
Yeah,
at
and I think
those.
that's
It's my number one plain hobby is looking at it on my camera roll.
I really,
yeah, I would say
it's,
my wife,
does she have,
my wife picks the best one. Like Justin, just take 20, and then she'll just like, okay, Justin, this one. I was like, all right, that way I don't
that's
fail.
way too much work. All right. I want to talk about, implementation of AI later, because I think that's a super interesting topic and you've seen how it works. But I don't want to skip over measurement because I think that's something that's near and dear to any marketer's heart, especially yours and ours. How are people approaching measurement specifically of the LLMs right now? Like, how, if I'm a brand, how am
Oof,
I thinking about LLMs? How am I measuring my understanding or implementation of LLMs? What am I doing?
measuring LLMs with I mean, wow, that's a really interesting question. I don't know if I've actually been asked that. It's very specific. Usually, when we're talking about measurement, uh, it's more around like attribution versus like revenue based measurement, right? Like or conversion based measurement, and seeing like how attribution could be overreported or underreported. In terms of LLM, like we actually haven't done that yet. Like most of the measurement we're doing on the LLM side is either using like third party tools that are using like synthetic data, right? Like they're like querying the API with like all sorts of different prompts and stuff and getting that back. And then we look at the like Google Analytics or any like marketing tools to see like how conversions are like converting. So we haven't done a lot. I don't even know if like any of our brands have so much data that we could do like an MMM model because it's pretty new. Like the traffic from like usually you want 12 months of data, right? And people probably like don't have. I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, could we even do a measurement test on LLMs or an MMM model on LLMs? It'd be like
Well,
pretty hard to
that's
measure,
kind of
maybe.
answers the question is that people aren't really thinking about it. So what you did say is you're measuring attribution, you're doing MMMs, you're doing all kinds of bits. So give us the state of measurement today, high level. I'm a brand. I come to you. I'm like, hey, look, I'm having difficulty measuring my media efforts. What's your
Paid
strategy?
and
What do you say
organic.
people are doing?
When people are coming to us, usually we're running it for them. So like my experience is that people are coming to us, they don't okay, my experience is that most marketers have no experience with data science. And a lot of people who get into marketing, they like so the like my two like hot takes on like the marketing industry is that marketers need to know more about finance and marketers need to know more about data science. Because most marketers get into marketing because they like the idea of like creative or copy or like maybe the funnels or maybe like performance marketing. But even if you love those things, it doesn't speak to finance, it doesn't speak to business goals, and it doesn't speak to like the actual end result. Like and measurement is really to like drive finance more. And so the biggest thing is like I think people are scared of the topic because it's like, oh, I don't know, Python, scary stuff, and like what does this mean if it's positive? And like I feel uncomfortable like interpreting this result, even if I was using a platform. I would say like a lot of it's like education, fear around education. Those are like the ones that I think I experience more, maybe.
But if okay, so let me put it a different way. If you're pitching a client, what are you doing to measure? So you're doing it for us. What are you doing to measure it?
Oh yeah, usually we try to figure out like what like usually like we generally use like either like holdout tests or we use causal impact studies, depending on like the risk level associated with like the test, right? So it's like if the gold standard, well, the gold standard is like a randomized trial, which is like pretty hard to do actually in marketing. And then like the next gold standard is like a holdout test, right? Because this is like now separating. So like, do you want me to explain like holdout test and yeah, like you should I explain it more or like
Yeah,
how
give
deep
us
should I
the
go?
high
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, so like the high level holdout test is like you're creating like basically like a control and a holdout, like a control and a test group, right? You're matching the data so that they show like similar characteristics across like average order value, purchase frequencies, how they convert, and geographic locations, and then also like seasonality. Like there's several factors that you're usually trying to like measure for. You create two groups. You usually don't want them all in one state. You want them kind of using like you use DMAs normally, like designated marketing areas, and then you put those into like, okay, now this test is going to receive this one and this one's not going to change at all, right? And then this gives you a much better, like now you're measuring the lift basically associated with like that individual test group versus the holdout group. And then you can use a synthetic group. There's like some more complicated stuff that you can do in there. And then you're measuring like the differences in differences. So like if this one went up 10,000, but this one went up 2,000, you'd say the difference in difference is 8,000, right? And that's what you consider to be like your incremental like change in the groups.
So that's the measuring
Um,
incrementality of your efforts in general. How much are you relying on the exact or the information provided by the platforms? It's like the Meta's reporting of their effort of what they're doing.
Usually we're measuring them against it, right? So like usually what we're taking is we're taking an incremental measurement and we're measuring against the attribution measurement, right? Because like one is like providing like more of like this was like what we believe it how it mixed together with the other platforms, right? And so it's like every platform is going to take full attribution, right, based on your conversion window that you set, right? And so it's like, well, Google actually deserved 0.2 and Meta deserved this, but when you look at attribution, it's not going to tell you that, right? And so like the benefit of like a measurement is that it's going to tell you like how that actually was like an incremental lift or how what maybe what its true attribution would be. And so usually like we're looking at it like against each other, like, and then that
So you get a
determines
multiplier that you're
determines.
gonna use to
Mhm.
apply. Like so Meta's 20% of the sale, Google's 40.
Yeah, and then we see common things like actually like we see quite a bit like Meta actually underreports because like a lot of people use 7 days. So like actually like if you do a lot of holdout tests, like Meta normally actually underreports its true value, and it's actually usually like 10 or 20% better. Google like not always like branded almost like never works. Like it's not that great. Like very anti-branded campaigns, and that's a whole other discussion. But like Google usually is like over reporting, and then you have hard to view like channels like view-based attribution, TV, and these different things where the only way to get a test is to like the only way to get true measurement is to actually run a test like this. And so we use it quite a bit. The only problem with like there's no perfect measurement system. Like that's what I'm always talking to people about too, actually, is like if you run an incrementality test, it's only a point in time, right? It's like, well, this doesn't take into account seasonality. It didn't take into account this, right? And so then people will try to like disclaim that. I'm like, yeah, but like you're estimating it and then you feed it into MMMs and there's like different things that you do. But uh, yeah, it's a long-winded answer of like
That's a
measurement.
great answer.
So, what's your high level take on how incrementality testing, casual testing, and MMM complement each other then? Like, do you need
Okay,
all
so
to be firing? Like, if you're getting your measurement maturity up to a certain level?
yeah, so I would say the maturity curve is like you do like attribution and platform, or maybe you like the really most basic would be like you just look at last click in Google Analytics, or you look at last click somewhere, right? Like that'd be like the super basic, right? Then the next one is like maybe you're doing more like with attribution. The next is like you run some like holdout tests and like incremental studies. And then I would say the next one above that is like you use MMMs. And then the next one above that is like you actually feed your incrementality test into your MMM. So like that way, like you're providing a loop between all of them. Uh, and that's usually like actually like the more advanced one where you actually have media planning with testing in mind, where you're running the test to try to like determine like how to actually like drive efficiency across channels. And you actually like are taking your like marketing calendar and thinking beyond just like the moments that you should have, but also the tests that you should be running. So that way, like by the time you hit a quarter, like you already know, like you ran these tests and like you're set up for like the next like 6 months. And that's like a really more advanced version, I think.
I have a question about AI implementation. So you're talking to a client and they're like, I'm hearing a lot about AI. What do you recommend? Like, what are you seeing people using AI for both good and then also complete disaster, not working at all?
What it's good at is okay. The biggest value add that I continue to see, that I think is actually a value add is reporting. So people actually like getting faster information, building reports, pulling data from multiple sources, or querying like to get insights off of the data. Like this one actually, like we've seen quite a bit, where it's like one person is making a report, they now need to make this report for like 6 different stakeholders. It's taking up this full-time job, and now they would need to make 20 other reports. And AI actually does like a really good job at this. Like this is like a huge like, yeah, it's like an easy one. A lot of people talk about like copywriting or like brand guidelines, and it's really great at that. But like I don't know if that's the value add that people are expecting out of AI, right? Like the value add that like you've been sold is like we're going to be 20 or 30 or 50 or 200% whatever more efficient, right? And the only way that you find that efficiency is if you can actually replace processes with AI. And so then it's like, what processes are good to replace with AI? And so, actually, like we're trying to build this one too, where like we do a lot of like account-based marketing. So we're building lists and like doing all these research, and like now AI, like we're like maybe like a few tweaks away from like actually like having like really comprehensive AI, like kind of wipe out that job.
Wow.
And
So that's something you can provide for your clients with AI without having to hire for it.
yeah, so we do like AI implementation, and then we use like a specific tool called Exosis, which is like in beta. Um, and we really like it because okay, so the problems that you exist with AI is people don't know what problems they should be attacking. And then once those problems are attacked, you actually have user adoption issues at organizations, which is like, great, we built out this workflow, but no one uses it. Right. And so then we like this new tool because it integrates both like the workflow into like a Claude or ChatGPT style, so you can execute like workflows from a user. And so I really like these. And yeah, like then you can start replacing PDF like processing, invoice processing, like anything that's like data heavy, and that humans are historically bad at, like AI is like pretty good at actually.
That's great. So you got workflow processing, democratization of data.
Yeah, I talked about brand guidelines, but like I don't see that one as much. Data entry is like a nice one too. Like getting people to put data cleanly into a CRM, lovely. That is now actually like coming. Yeah, we talked about lead list building, like data retrieval.
You
Uh,
mentioned people failing at building workflows that no one uses. Where else are you seeing AI implementation go badly wrong?
I don't know if I see it go badly. Most of the time, people just are using it like at a very high level, and there's I did another like a speech about AI implementation, and like my meme was in it. It was basically like, what do we want? And it's like it was like CEOs. It's like, what do we want AI? It's like, when do we want it now? It's like, yeah, and it's like, but how are we going to use it? And it was like, no one
Uh,
knows. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I don't know if I see it being implemented badly. I see it not being implemented at all. And then I think that you see a lot of posturing out of the market where everyone's like, "Oh, we're doing AI, we're doing AI." Like really, like I was like, "No, you're not." Like I feel like I'm doing implementations, and like I barely see any organizations like truly like actually being like AI driven organizations. And like I actually think the difference is like you see leadership feel like they have to posture this way, and workers are like, yeah, we're AI implemented or whatever, and like really nothing has changed. Like I see that more than like bad implementation more.
So just
that
waste of
makes
time,
sense.
no change management, no change.
Yeah, or
Just
yeah,
like
just
the
silliness.
hype.
Yeah, it's hype, and that's where I think everyone. It's like weird when we're having these conversations where I'm like, what do I believe that you can get out of it? I was like you can replace like a job or two, like, and that's going to drive efficiency on teams, right? Like I don't see it like we're not like and we also like when we're working in organizations we talk about like like kind of like a walk crawl run strategy. So like most of the times people are trying to walk, like or crawl walk run, right? Most people are trying to crawl, which is like when you're crawling you should probably do the least risky tasks, and the least risky tasks are something where it's like just data reading, just data pulling, right? There's no data like entry. The most risky tasks, which we don't really like get into in a lot of organizations we talk to, they're like, we don't know if we want to take on that risk yet, would be something where like you're writing to a database and like destroying data or something, right? You're exposing customer information, or like PII, right? And those ones like we're usually not in as much. Usually we're like, I feel the industry's in the crawl stage still.
All
Yeah.
right.
So
Well, I've loved this. Thank you for jumping all over with us and hitting all on all of that. You spoke a little bit about all of these, talks and speeches. Are there any coming up where listeners can find you?
here.
Yeah, love it. Um, any
No,
any
yeah.
fi- any final words for our listeners or any other last hot takes for marketers out there?
No, I think my continual like hot take is that marketers need to know data science and they need to know finance. Like you should be best friends with like your finance department. And I feel like so many marketing departments have bad relationships with their finance departments. And I feel like that's a huge disservice.
That's good advice.
Yeah, big time. All right, Justin. Thank you for joining us from beautiful Barcelona. We enjoyed it and hope
Thank you,
to see more of
Justin.
you soon.
Yeah, we'll talk
All
soon. Thank you for
right.
having me.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, please leave a review wherever you listen to this and share with someone trying to grow their career or their business. Until next time, keep growing.